When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since I...
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zeta.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth.
All right, so we got some catching up to do. I had a fun weekend. So starting from last week, I went to music bingo, which was my first time doing music bingo, and it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. I didn't even think, what the heck is music bingo?
What is it? Yeah, I've never done it. What is it?
They give you a bingo sheet card that has a bunch of, and they have different rounds that have different genres of music, and it has just different, titles of songs. And then the DJ goes through and plays the first verse and chorus of the song, so that you can hear the song and figure out what the song is, and then you look on your sheet to see if you have the song. So it was pretty cool. So you have to either be good and know the songs, or you can cheat and use Shazam or whatever.
I have had
app is.
A regular there tell me they cheat.
Yeah, I definitely cheated. I didn't cheat.
I'm not going to name names.
Sunday cheated, and I cheated off of her. So technically, I still cheated.
You cheated in a different way. You old school cheated.
But if I knew, I really tried.
You did old school.
I did try to figure it out on my own, though. And I did really good figuring out.
I feel like I'd be good at it,
own.
Except the last 10 years.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I could do
But
good
it was a lot of fun. Did I win? No. Was I a little bitter? Yes. But it was still a fun time.
Well, that's fun.
And and they used merchandise from Al's. So the first round you want was the hat, his little Waxahachie upside down hat.
Yeah.
I really want that hat.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I have one. You want it?
Yeah. So I was I got mad that I didn't win. I was like, oh, I'll just buy one. Whatever.
I had it at the cabin for the last year, and it accidentally got brought home with us on this last trip. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's in my truck right now.
Oh, look at me. I'm a winner anyways.
You're my favorite karaoke bingoer.
Thank you.
There is, and you can have my hat.
Thank you. Well, that was fun.
You win.
I did. I ended up winning anyways. The second round, they had the little red hoodie thing, but I already have one of those, so I was like, it's not that big of a deal that I didn't win.
Yeah.
So, but it was okay. I still had a fun time.
Yeah.
Sunday was a little bitter because she didn't win, but she was like, okay.
She's so funny.
Can't win them all. And of course, she's just spinning like a top the whole time through the whole thing, just
she's
dancing around.
People. Did it rain and she went into the square?
No, not this time.
Because that is the best story
But
ever.
talking about raining, we've had some crazy Texas weather here for a while.
Did you all get hit by the tornado again?
Yes, we did. And this is the second time, I think, in this past year.
Since you've lived there.
That we've got. And
Third
it's
time.
We had one last year and we've had one this year, go through the town.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it did not hit our house. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't know I moved to Tornado Alley.
Right. Well, you know what happened to me yesterday?
What?
I was in an earthquake. Did you know there was an earthquake yesterday?
I heard about that. I heard about the earthquake.
It was the epicenter was a half mile from my work.
That's crazy.
My whole building shook. And I was in the middle of a story, as usual, with my new assistant manager. I'm getting to know him because my assistant manager that I love transferred. And so my manager is on paternity leave. And so we got this new assistant, and he had a week, I guess, to adjust. And then, you're on your own. That's it.
Nice.
And he's young, and he's a real great guy. But so I was telling him a story as usual. I don't even know what I was telling him, but you know how I am. And I'll tell the gas station attendant a story. Uh-huh. And so I'm telling a story, and the whole building shook, and we both looked, and we have a very big building, and we both looked at each other, and he goes, "What was that?" And I was like, I think a car hit the building.
God was giving you special
And I
effect.
kept going with my story. He had to cut me off. He goes, "Zeta,
hold on.
Finish in a minute. I'm going to go figure out what happened." I feel like that felt like an earthquake. Well, he moved here a year ago from California. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, that felt like an earthquake. And he was like, but there's no earthquakes in Texas. Yeah. I said, well, no, there are. They're usually in West Texas, and I've heard of them in Fort Worth, but that's usually about as far as they go is Fort Worth. He goes, Fort Worth is 10 minutes from here. I was like, I know, but that's about as far as they go. And he was like, no, if it is an earthquake, we're going to have another one in a minute. There'll be at least one aftershock. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, let me go see what's going on. And as he walked no, he didn't even start walking yet. We were still talking. He's looking at me, aftershock. Whole building shook again. He goes, it was an earthquake.
Wow.
And I was like, nah.
No, just the second car hit the building.
I'm pretty sure another did. Yeah. That was just someone else watching the other wreck.
Yeah.
So they had one.
Caused another wreck.
So he goes outside and asks everybody, and everybody's already like, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? And it was literally like across the field from us. It was right there, and the whole building shook. And then it was a 3.2 and a 3.0.
Wow.
I know. I was right in the epicenter.
Cross that off your bucket list.
I did not see that happening when I went to work on Wednesday.
No.
So, yeah, you might have had a tornado, but we've all been there in Texas. But, I mean, I've now been in an earthquake.
I have not been in a situation where I was close to a tornado. I've never been close. But even then, like, I mean, I didn't see it. I want to see one, but I don't want to see one because I really don't want to be close enough to actually see one. But I've kind of always wanted to see one.
I've seen and been in them a few times, but I had one time that was extra scary. No, 2 times that were extra scary. One time when my kids were little and I had to put them in the bathtub, and I was really scared because I had kids. It was about more than me. And it was there. Like, you could look out the window and see it.
That's crazy.
Oh, 3 times.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, why don't you just show me up here?
I'm sorry. That was when I lived in Plano. The other time was probably about 12 years ago, and there was one that hit downtown Dallas. Do you remember the one that hit downtown Dallas?
No.
It hit legit downtown Dallas.
Hit legit.
And I was working in Plano but living in Red Oak. So my kids were home alone, and it was heading towards Red Oak. Wow. So I just basically told my boss, I'm leaving.
Peace out, player.
I'm not letting my kids ride through a tornado without me. I'm leaving.
We're going to ride this together.
Yeah. So, because like Zoe was in charge. She's like 14. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I got to beat the tornado home. Okay. And I think it was in Fort Worth-ish area when I started the travel from Plano, but it was moving quick. So
you played chicken with our tornado.
I did. And so I'm on 75 going south, and I get to, we've totally gotten off track keeping up, but keep up, y'all.
Okay, we're keeping up.
And so I'm on 75, and right where 75 hits downtown by Adams Hat. Anyone that knows Dallas knows where Adams Hat's warehouse is in downtown Deep Ellum area. And I'm passing Adams Hat, and my dad calls me, and he said, Zeta, where are you right now? And I said, I'm on my way home because there's a tornado. He goes, I know, it's in downtown right now. And I was like, downtown what? And he goes, Dallas. And I said, I'm in downtown Dallas.
That's me.
I'm on 75 and I'm flying. There's no traffic, which is really weird because it's probably like 4:30.
Because everybody else knew there was a tornado.
Yes. Everybody else is like, fuck this.
You're the only one playing chicken with their tornado.
And I am gunning it. And so I look over to downtown, and I'm almost to the point I wouldn't be able to just look to my right. But I can still look to my right. Like, I'm not past downtown. Fucking tornado in the middle of downtown. Clear as day. I'm like, oh, yeah, I see it. And he goes, how far is it? I was like, I don't know. I think I could touch it almost. So I gunned it. I got home. We were fine. It didn't hit Red Oak. I would have been safer just staying at work.
Yeah, probably.
Lessons learned.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I've been in one other one where I did see it, but I was in a good shelter spot. So like I wasn't necessarily worried.
That's good.
I guess. But no, my little sister went to a church school here in Waxahachie when she was little. Mm-hmm. And it took the steeple off that church 2 or 3 times. The same church. And she was in it 2 of the times.
Wow.
And I was like, I think God's trying to tell y'all something. I don't know.
Right.
And then she was at her dad's house because we're half sisters. And she was at her dad's house in Rocket, and a tornado hit their house, and it took off the back half of their house. And so she got scared when it hit. You could hear everything. And her dad was on one side of the house, and she was on the other. So she started running to her dad. And right as she got in the living room where you could see the part they added on, because that's what got blown away was the add-on part, she watched it snatch that part of the house off the house.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so she is very scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I've been
my nightmare.
I've been through a tornado. I've been through a hurricane or two too. Never mind. Anyways, continue. I've moved a lot in Texas, y'all.
Okay.
I mean, but the earthquake was a new one.
The worst that happened during all those storm is we lost a tree that was in our yard. So thankfully we had three big trees in our yard. Two of them are close to the house. One of them was on the fence line. It was actually in the fence line.
And that's when
that is the one that went down. And we heard it and I was like, what was that? And Dante's like, that was a tree. I was like, oh my gosh. I was getting him to go look. And he was asking if it was the pecan tree because that's the one closest to our house.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, if it was that one, we would know it. It would be honest because it was the one that's like literally right outside our door.
Yeah.
So, and I looked over and it was the one that was in the front fence line. So,
yeah.
And then I went and I thought it was so cool. And I was like, so I like put on my jacket and I'm going outside to like take a video and to take a picture of it. And then it's like really bad storming still. So I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't a good idea. So I'm like running back inside and then I get hit by a branch falling from another tree. Thankfully, it wasn't a big branch.
Yeah.
It was just a medium-sized one. And I was like, oh my gosh, get back inside. And Dante's like, what? I was like, I got hit by a branch. He's like, why are you running out there in the middle of the storm? I was like, I wanted to take a picture.
I'm texting. We stand on the front porch till it blows away.
It was like, you're staying inside.
It's in my blood. That's
like
funny.
me.
Our neighbor, I don't know if you noticed when you pulled up, but my neighbor catty cornered to me. Their whole tree's down.
Yeah.
Same storm.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of.
Yeah,
of
I mean the
down
tornado
trees.
did not hit Waxahachie. It hit y'all, but it did not hit us. But that's what the rain and the wind did.
Yeah.
Is it took out their tree.
Yeah, it was
and I'm really shocked. It's almost Friday and they haven't fixed it.
Yeah, Dante was literally out there. It was still a little bit raining, but had stopped enough, and he was out there getting the chainsaw.
There you go. That's my man there.
Like,
I know. I'm not even doubting that. I'm not even doubting
not
that.
at all.
No.
And there were baby birds in the tree, and there was one. I guess.
And he moved the nest and mothers them now for you because that's Dante.
No.
Okay.
So the other, I guess, like the mom and dad and all the others could fly out. There was one baby that was still in the tree, and he was like, hacking limbs off and stuff. And so I finally got it out, and he was like, "What? You just need to try to put it in another tree." So because the mom was flying around, I could see the moms, but I was like, okay. So I tried to put it in a tree, and it jumped out of that tree. And I'm like, stop, because there are cats, there are stray cats all over the neighborhood. Yeah. So we have our own stray cats that mark our territory.
I told you what happened last year to my birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, quit. So I get it again and I put it in another tree that has more foliage around the bottom of it, and it stayed in there. And I was like, okay, fine, we're good.
Oh, good.
So I go inside, and then Dante comes back in. He's like, well, babe, that little bird didn't make it. I was like, what? He's like, nope. Saw one of the cats walking around with it. And I was like, no, all that work.
It survived a tornado.
I know. I tried so hard. That poor baby bird, man. And all he says is, "This is a circle of life, babe." He tells me all the time. Anytime anything dies or I'm sad about something, circle of life.
Yeah, that sounds like Rick. That sounds exactly like Rick.
Well, on a happy note, we finally got internet at my house. I feel like
welcome to 2020. Welcome to 2010.
I'm finally on the grid.
Is it good internet?
I mean, it works. I mean, I haven't really used it for much, but
that's exciting.
We didn't really use the TV much. I mean, we did. We had some cable channels or whatever, but we really didn't watch TV much. We would watch some movies that came on the movie channels every now and then, but he just got tired of it. And so he's like, well, we'd been talking about getting internet. And of course his son wants it so bad because he's a gamer.
Yeah.
And so we finally got internet, and I set it up on our TV and downloaded Netflix and stuff like that. Cause I steal Netflix from my mom and dad. And I usually just watch it on my phone, but I connected it to the TV, so now I have it on the TV.
Right.
And so he was like, we got Netflix? I was like, yeah, I've stole it from my parents. And he's like, oh my gosh.
I'm the parent. I understand.
Hey, it works. Whatever.
Yeah.
And so we got that all set up. We watched a movie last night, and so it was nice.
Well, I'm glad you could join us in 2010.
Hey, it just took us a little while.
You're going to be wearing zebra print with hot pink any minute now.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it all back.
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well.
Anything else?
And then, so I went through my clothes, about a month ago, and to get rid of some stuff so that I could, get
Buy more.
Got more stuff,
Yeah.
And I finally donated it today. So I only drove around with it in my car for a couple of weeks, which is a
that's
step up
that
for me,
is.
actually, because usually it takes like a month or two for me.
I went 6 months one
for
time.
it being in the back of my car. I finally went and donated it today. So I was I checked that off
Look
the
at
list.
you accomplishing shit.
I
You're
was
like a grown-up now.
I know. Got internet.
Proud of you. Internet.
Finally donated
Donated your clothes.
So that was
You're
pretty
running
good.
for president any minute.
I know.
Yeah.
So we're
Well,
good.
we could use you.
I don't know about that.
I don't know that I have a ton of stuff going on. I went to a Rangers game, which is weird for me, and I invited you and Dante, but y'all
did.
could not come.
I felt so bad.
And so Zenrick was like, he was like, you should invite Kelly and Dante. And I was like, okay, great. So I invite y'all.
That makes me happy that he thought about it.
I know.
And I really wanted to because I really want Dante to hang out with Rick.
They would
because
definitely get along.
I think he gets along with everybody. So I really think that they
and
would.
neither talk alike.
I know.
It's perfect. They could just act like they're not in the same room and they'll be like, this is a great person.
Yeah.
I thought the same
I really
thing.
like this guy.
And we got really good seats. So we were right behind first base, but like 16th row. Like we were at the front.
Yeah.
And so every damn ball flew at us. Like Rick's like, pay attention because it's going to hit you. And anyway, so we had really good seats and we had a good time. We ended up just going the two of us, but his brother and his brother's wife and their two kids were there because his nephew's birthday was the next day and that's what he wanted, was to go to the Rangers game. So they came over, two of them came over and joined us for a minute and we had fun. I mean, it was different for us. We're not big sports people, but I enjoyed the game and he did too. And we had fun and,
That's the only kind when I am a sports person is if I actually go to a game.
Yeah.
Because I like the whole experience of it.
It was fun. And he was like, well, we didn't have time to eat beforehand. So he was like, whatever you want to eat, get whatever. And I was like, one hot dog. And I don't even like hot dogs, but I was like, we're at the ballpark.
Yeah.
We're getting a chili dog and a margarita that's the size of that baseball bat. And that's what we did. And well, he didn't. I did.
Of course.
But no, we had a really good time. And that's what we did Saturday. We didn't make it fully to the end because, we both get up so early. We were like, oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And then that's about all I did. I mean, we set up our studio.
Yes.
That was the other exciting thing.
We are officially in our own little spot. We got our own equipment.
We don't have to worry about restaurant and bar sounds. We're good to go. And we're going to try and start doing videos.
Yeah.
May not be the whole episode. We haven't decided exactly how that's going to look.
But we're just going to go with it. We're going to try.
We're going to do what we can do. And starting having guests again and we'll be able to record a lot more. It's really been difficult lately.
Yeah. But we got new microphones and they are like super high tech microphones.
So you might really hear us.
So they literally pick up everything.
Like,
she had to turn off the fan. She had to make sure we turned off the AC because it picks up the AC. Any little listen.
That's her pen.
It's ASMR.
It is. It's very, we got the same setup that we have with Al. I bought the exact same equipment, except I got different microphones, and I didn't realize how, great these microphones
I think
would be.
I can even hear the lights in this room.
Well, Eric was telling me, and thank you, baby Jesus, for Eric setting us up.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Eric. You're the best.
But Eric was telling me that these would be really good microphones for singing.
Yeah.
And he said this is exactly what they use when they record stuff. So he was like, if y'all go out to the cabin and y'all want to write a song and sing,
that's definitely what's going to happen.
Take this because it will be great.
Yeah.
And he sent me a little thing where I could link for this thing where you can take it out and it goes by charging. And if you want to record in the woods or something, you don't have to have power.
How cool would that be to write a song and sing it in the woods? And
Well,
you could,
I was thinking about
hear
Miranda Lambert.
Yeah, you could hear the birds.
Yes.
And,
well, that's what she does on that album in Marfa, Texas. And as you can hear the crickets and you can hear the locusts and you can hear all that. And I was like, this is badass.
Yeah, it really is.
So we're going to be able to do a podcast from the cabin.
I know. That's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah. So it's exciting. So we're deciding on what to do as far as decorating the studio area. So if anyone has ideas, I know we mentioned it once before, but if anyone has ideas, send them. I've had a few good ideas sent to us. I think we've both kind of looked into it. We got some ideas ourselves. But just to give you all an impression, it will not be a desk. I think we've pretty much decided it's on a small table, and we're going to use my existing couch because it's actually really cute. And but as far as what's behind us, so what kind of look we're going for. So if you come up with something, let us know.
Yeah.
If you don't, then don't. I don't know.
Are we going to use it? Who knows?
Who knows? We might ignore it completely. No. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's all the catching up I think I got.
Oh, I got a new tattoo as well.
Of course you did. What? We're so surprised.
I had a friend ask me, he was like, so how's your getting a tattoo every other day going? I was like, it's not every other day.
It's once a week.
No, it's not. It's every 2 weeks. I do it every payday.
Oh, okay,
is usually how I do it.
So you're going for 24 tattoos this year.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean,
So
you'll be
I got
covered
a
by the time
tattoo
it's
on
over.
my shoulder, and it's a knife going into my skin, and I love it.
How many tattoos and knives do you think you have now?
I only have 2 knives.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have a sword that's going through a tiger head on my leg, and then this is the only other knife I have.
All right.
So,
I'm surprised. I guess just because you always have a
wait,
knife
I
on
have a machete. But it's a little Friday the 13th little baby one on my
still
this other.
counts.
Yeah, okay, so 3.
Yeah.
Usually you're like, it still counts.
The year is young. The year is young.
Oh, man.
All right, well.
Okay, so I have an old email, and I say old, let me look. I haven't looked at our email in a really long time because we went through the time period of I didn't get any emails, and then so I haven't checked it. And then I went through a time period of couldn't get it to sign in for me, so then there was that too. So this email was from, let me see. This email was from, that is not it. This is not the one. Hold on. Maybe it is.
From the past.
It was from May. No, they were in May.
This is May.
April. Okay, sorry.
Oh, it's not
It's
that
from
old.
April 3rd. So it's a little bit old, but it's not.
It's a month old.
Still, I'm sorry that you've had to wait a month because I usually try to make sure that we read emails and stuff from guests or from
They didn't visit
listeners. They're not guests.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. So this one was from Courtney, and it was about, it was after our lifestyle differences episode. So she says, hello, ladies. I'm just listening to the podcast, Lifestyle Differences. I had a strong reaction, so I decided to email. I'm a counselor, so I find myself getting pretty understanding of all kinds of shit. I can understand how people turned out the way that they did, good and bad. I've always approached the lifestyle differences similarly to how you guys talked about it. I have my views and you can have yours, but I recently found myself having to rethink that. Kind of like the situation Zeta was talking about, protecting your kids versus honoring your family. I have sisters I didn't grow up with. Our relationships have been primarily through Facebook. They are lovely women with kind hearts, but they have wildly different religious and political views than I have. I let it go until I started thinking about it from my child's perspective. My child identifies as queer. I commented for the first time and only time on one of her posts. The post said that there are only 2 genders. I commented that she was basically dismissing my child's existence. Her response was that she loves my child, quote unquote, anyways.
Anyways.
Like he should be grateful.
Courtney, I'm ready to fuck a bitch up.
Or he's lucky to be loved as a queer human. I heard myself talking to my child about how they were just ignorant and didn't mean anything hurtful by it. As I spoke, I choked on those words though, because I was basically saying that he should tolerate prejudice when the person doesn't know any better. Fuck that. If I excuse that, I'm hurting my child. It's the bystander effect. The bystander is more the problem than the bully, bigot, etc. They are no longer in my life, but I still love them. That being said, I choose my battles. There are so many hateful things going on in this world that we will simply burn out trying to fight them all. Anyways, thank you for having the difficult conversation. It's so important. I love your podcast so much. It makes me miss my Zeta a little less. Courtney.
Aw. Well, I love that.
I do too. And it's a great look at it as well.
I'm trying to think how to word this without outing someone. Have I ever told the story about the person in my life that I have someone in my life that I'm close to that has a son that is adopted that is half black and half white, and amazing kid. And we have a person in common with us that is pretty racist, and I had to cut him off. I just can't deal with that. Yeah. And I mean, there's just certain things you got to choose your battles.
There's
and
certain
that's
things
when I
you can
choose.
deal with, but racism I cannot deal with.
It's just unnecessary hate.
Yeah.
Like there's no excuse, honestly. And so this person that is racist is very, very openly racist and wasn't raised racist. Like I know their family well enough to know that this is just a one-off. And the mother of the child that's adopted, who's a wonderful mother in general, like is honestly a very good mother, and the kid has turned out to be a very good now young adult. I said, do you not have a problem with this? Like, your child is on their social media. They see these posts, but more than the post, they know the person, and this person's very racist openly. And does that not bother you? I don't understand why this person is still present in your life and you're not. They're old, and I just explained to them they're old. Explained to their child they're old, and my kid understands. You're old, so you can be a dick.
Yeah,
like because you're old, you can be racist. If you're old, can you rape people? Like where do you draw that line?
Yeah,
and
it's a slippery slope.
And then it ended my relationship with that mom, and who I was pretty close to, and but. If you're not going to protect your kid, you're definitely not protecting mine.
Yeah. I think you really have to watch out for the excuses that you make for other people. Yeah. And I understand not knowing how to explain to somebody why something's wrong.
Right.
Like, why are they acting like that? Like, it can be hard to answer, like, why those people are doing that.
Yeah.
But to simply excuse it away as in, oh, they don't know any better, or, oh, they're a different generation, or, oh, they're old, they're set in their ways.
Yeah.
Like, that might be true. Like, that might be, like, why they are acting that way, but that's not an excuse for it. No. And you shouldn't allow it to be an excuse for it.
No. And I might add, this same person, the racist one, politically disagrees with my father a lot, and has nothing to do with my father. They're in no way related at all. Okay, and my father has never met this person in person. My father knows them through me, and my brother. And she put on Facebook to my father, who was commenting on someone else we have in common's page. Every day I wake up and I hope you've died the night before.
Oh my gosh.
I hope you've died. It will be the best thing for your children. I know they must hate you. You're a horrible human being.
Wow.
To my father.
Wow.
About 5 years after my mother died. And that was when I had the conversation with the other person, and I said, this is such a hateful human. Like, at what point do you draw the line? Where's your line to be drawn? Mine is the racism. I'd already pretty much cut her off. And then the father comment, who she's never met my father, and my father's children adore him. Do I agree with everything he does politically? No. Is he an asshole politically? I mean, he can be antagonist, but he's not like a bad person. He's not racist. He's not a dick. Like he's not like that. And I just couldn't believe that they put that out there, that thought in the world. And then for you to be okay with that, and that person loves my dad, and you to be okay with someone saying that about my dad, but also being okay with you saying racist things and your son is black.
Yeah.
And then saying he understands. Mind-blowing to me. So I really appreciate that email.
Yeah, I do too.
And I really appreciate the fact that you're standing up for your kid and you're putting yourself in the shoes of your kid, because that's really what you need to do.
Yeah.
I always look at it this way. What's my legacy? And what side of history do I want to be on? And it doesn't matter about your politics. That's not the side of history you're going to be on. It's not about politics. It's about, are you a good person or are you a bad person? Whatever decision you made, was it based on love or was it excuses for hate? And that's how I make all my decisions.
Yeah, that pretty much simplifies it. It could be a really hard topic, but if you look at it like that, that's plain and simple.
Yeah, I always like to look at it as what would Jesus literally have done? Not what would people tell me he would have done, but what would he have done? And I feel like he led with love.
Yes, exactly what
And
that
that's what I
is.
try to
Literally
do.
what he is.
Yeah.
He can't do anything other than that.
Right. So if you don't like me for that, then fuck you too. I don't think he cares if I cuss either.
Fuck you in love.
I've never seen in the Bible it says I can't cuss. I can't say GD, but I can tell you to get the fuck out of my face. Merry Christmas. All right, so is that all the catching up? We got anything else?
That's a wrap.
Courtney, you are a good mom.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
Shout
I like
out.
it. Yeah, shout out to you, man. Okay, I love Facebook
Yes, you do.
more than I like to admit. And I admit it openly, so that says something. It's just really, it's like people watching without having to actually see them.
Yeah, it's from people watching from the comfort of wherever you are.
Yeah, your toilet, whatever. So this weekend, this person on my Facebook that I really don't know, and I know, but I don't know, like he's like friends of friends type thing. I don't remember adding him. I might have thought he was a listener.
Yeah.
And when I added him, but I know who he is. Once I saw his picture, I just didn't remember adding him, and I didn't. Anyways, you get that in.
Yeah.
So I had forgotten about him because he doesn't ever post, So this weekend he starts posting, and there's clearly problems at home.
Uh-oh.
So he's saying some pretty scary stuff, like he was going to hurt himself or something,
Oh, no.
So, because his wife has cheated on him.
Uh-oh, that'll do it.
Drama. And the first thing he posted, I thought, who is this? What? And then I had to go look at his picture to make sure it's who I thought it was. And I was like, oh. And he's older. I mean, he's older than me by a few years, So I'm like, oh, that's sad, But I don't know him like I'm going to be the one reaching. I mean, he'd be like, what the hell? But other people were reaching out and apparently trying to call him and everything. Okay. So that was like Saturday night, I think. And then Sunday, I saw he continues posting. So he's clearly not harmed himself. And now he's just pissed. Mm-hmm. And so now he's like just being mean, I guess. And so he's just talking shit to her and saying, you cheated on me. You don't want to come home. The girls need you, just like all the drama that you can possibly imagine. And so now I'm not like invested, but now we've got a soap opera.
Yeah.
Now we got a story.
It's a little bit of entertainment there.
It's not entertaining when they're saying they're going to kill themselves.
No.
But it is entertaining when they act like fools.
Yeah.
And so he's acting like a fool. And he's like, since you don't want to come home, I've taken all your stuff and it's on the curb. So if you want your stuff, here it is. And so he posts a picture of a bunch of her stuff on the curb. And it's just, clothes and whatever. And then a few minutes later, he posts another picture, and I found more stuff. All your stuff's on the curb, and it's just like more stuff on top of the other stuff. Well, in that picture, there's this little hot pink thing. And I just kind of glance at it, and I think it's a pipe, like a crack pipe. Uh-huh. And I'm like, is that a crack pipe? Did he just like put his wife's crack pipe out on the curb? And then take a picture and post? Because I don't know about you, but if I'm trying to keep my kids in my home, I'm not advertising I got crack pipes in my house. Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm like, So I kind of zoom in on it, thinking, that's an awful clean crack pipe. It is not a crack pipe. It is not.
What is it?
It's similar to a pipe. It does get laid.
Oh, no.
Yes, it is a dildo. It's not just a dildo. It's a special dildo. So the part that I thought was the crack pipe is one thing that you insert, I'm assuming in your ass. Uh-huh. Because it's smaller than the other part.
Oh, so it's like
it's got two things.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the other one because there's a little piece of clothing or something kind of like covering part of the bigger wand. I don't know what to call it. Shaft. There you go. So I zoom in, and I'm like, oh, my God. That is definitely a dildo.
Straight up put her dildo on the curb.
And then took a picture of it and put it on Facebook. And it took every inch of me not to comment yesterday. And I was like, no.
I can't believe you were able to not.
Well, I didn't say I didn't. I said I didn't yesterday. I didn't make sure he wasn't still suicidal. Come on, I'm not an animal. So I'm like, okay, how long do I give myself before I comment this? Let me read the room. Right. So I'm going through all the messages, and Saturday's messages were very much people being good people. Yeah. Sunday's messages were friends being like, dude, gather yourself, like calm down and remove this and, work on your marriage and, more honest conversation. Yeah. Well, then that was posted last night, and I just thought, how is nobody bringing up the dildo?
Is nobody else seeing what I'm seeing here?
Am I the only one that knows what this is? What is going on? And so then I'm like, I'm going to give it till tomorrow, which is today, and then I'm going to read the room again. So this morning, once I have time to scroll through Facebook, I scroll through, and I'm like, it's still there. So then I read the comment, and everybody's like, basically, at this point, he's now posted, okay, I went a little crazy this weekend. I apologize. Please come back and don't take my children. He realizes he's gone too far. Mm-hmm. And now he wants her back and don't take my children.
He's gone through the whole stages of grief.
He's going through the whole thing. And so then I thought, okay, it's safe to bring up the dildo. Don't you think that's when it's safe?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. What's he gonna remove me? I mean, okay. I didn't know you were here to begin with. So then I'm like, so are you taking down the picture of the vibrator? It was gone instantly.
Oh my God. I still think it's funny that you were the only one that said anything
only
about
one.
It. I guess everybody else was A, didn't notice what it was, or B, was too embarrassed for him.
And his poor wife.
I know.
And then I played with so many things I could say, and I went with the less mean one.
Well, that was good.
I might have also said, does this mean you're going to take down the picture of the vibrator? I mean, it's funny, but it's wrong. That's what I said. What I wanted to say was, what are you doing wrong that she needs that thing? It's got how many fucking limbs on it?
It's very versatile.
What hole is it not penetrating? That's what I wanted to say.
I'm glad that you rethought that. I mean, actually, no. I think it'd be pretty funny.
It would have been better content.
Right.
But that was... Did I tell me if I told this story? I can't remember if I told you this story or about the guy at work that I kept making repeat the thing. Did I tell you this story?
Yeah.
Okay.
You did.
Okay, never mind on that one. I was like, as long as we're talking about vibrators, I was just, But never mind, you've heard that story. You have a good one? You got a good story? Any vibrator story?
I mean, not to compete with that one. No, I definitely don't.
Sorry.
So it's okay.
We can't all have a vibrator story.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I don't.
That's good.
Hey, Zeta, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Kelly?
It's time to pop the top
on the topic of the day. Okay, so we have a listener request. What even a listener? Let me tell you what happened here.
Okay.
I found this page on Facebook, and you know what? I'm not going to name the name of the page yet because I want to ask these ladies permission.
Okay.
Because they might not want to be
blasted.
Yes.
Got it.
But it's a local page for women. And I just randomly found it, and I was like, this is awesome. So I start, looking at the posts, and it's generally just women trying to find women friends. Like, they're getting together for, bowling, and it's pretty cool, right?
I love it.
And so I was like, this is my kind of people, man. This is what I talk. So I you have to introduce yourself. If you join the group, you have to introduce yourself. You have to say who you are and your age and a little bit about yourself. So I introduced myself and explained I did a podcast, but I didn't go too much into it, and I didn't name it the podcast or anything. Just kind of, this is what I do.
Yeah, just letting it's a hobby. This is my hobby.
Yeah. And then after 2 weeks or so on the thing and reading, I was like, this is perfect podcast people.
Yeah.
So I need to ask them what they want to talk about. This is our people, because the average woman is between I would say 27 and 50.
Okay.
55, 60. It's middle-aged women. It's us, young on the young and the older end of the spectrum.
I like it.
So I was like, this is perfect. So I asked them, what would you like to talk? What would you like to hear about? What do you think would benefit you? They gave me so many great ideas, but the one that really hit me was sex drive. because it's something that women, especially my age, Gen X and older, were taught not to discuss. Now, you, in your era, and younger than you, it's like, whatevs.
Yeah.
But we were taught this is not something you discuss.
You don't open Pandora's box.
It's just not ladylike.
It's not.
It's just,
You talk about sex and then you're a whore automatically.
Yeah, definitely. And I can remember, this is so silly because I was about your age right now, maybe 2 years younger than you. And I was still married and I was living in Kingwood, Texas. And I got invited to lunch with like the neighborhood ladies. And I had never been invited to lunch with the neighborhood ladies before. I'd made friends with one of them and I got into the group.
Oh, you were initiated.
I was. And I was a young mom with my older two. I was the young mom. I was 22 when I had Zoe and 24 when I had Zane. And then I was in my early 30s when I had the other two kids. So when I got invited into it, I'm the young mom of the group. So at this time, I'm like 30. I'm old enough that I should be able to have these conversations. Yeah. But that is not how I was raised. And so we go to lunch, and these women, I know them. Like, we go to PTA meetings together. We host class parties. The president of the PTA is one of them. The secretary of the PTA is the other one. Wow. But the one that I was friends with was actually the president, and she was a lot of fun. I've talked about her before. She was the older lady that I really looked at, one of the two. Anyway, so fast forward to that. We go to lunch. We're having lunch, whatever. Everyone's talking about life, whatever. And they start talking about when they got engaged. And one of them, who is a coach in the district, and her husband is a coach at my kid's school. And their daughter is my daughter's age and friends with my daughter. Talk about how he proposed during sex.
Nice.
And I can remember thinking, I can't believe she's telling us this.
You're like looking around. Is everybody okay with this?
Yeah.
What?
So like 19 years later, this is the Zeta
Yeah.
But this is Zeta 19 years ago, and that Zeta was married and very, very reserved, believe it or not. And so that was like, I cannot believe she's just discussing this with people she does not know well, Now I'm like, that's so fucking stupid. Like, but that is what I was raised in. And so if you are uncomfortable talking to a group of women in your 30s about sex, then how comfortable are you discussing it with your husband or your significant other?
So very true.
And I was not.
Yeah.
And so when she said that about sex drive, I was like, man, she's got a good point.
Yeah.
Because sex drive is not about chemicals. It can be.
Yeah. It can be.
But it's mental, I find, more.
I think so too. And your brain can change your chemical makeup and what's going on.
Absolutely.
So, it's not always that you have to have some kind of medical fix or, like taking a pill or something like that. Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah.
But just changing the way that your brain is feeling and what it's sending off can change that chemical makeup to where you don't have a problem.
It's just like thinking positive, like when you're sick. Yeah. They say if you think positive, it helps increases the chance that you're going to get better. And that's why they tell your family to be positive with you and to that degree.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think it makes a big difference when you're taught, as women especially, we are taught to be ashamed of our bodies. We're taught to be embarrassed by our bodies. We're taught to be embarrassed about sex. We're not supposed to talk about sex. Now, it's different, I think, for your generation. But like you probably don't sit with your mom and talk about it.
No.
And so there is still always that element of it. But if you should talk to anyone about it, it should be your mom.
Yeah.
You should be able to say, hey, Mom, I'm having a hard time with this, or I'm having a good time with this, or whatever. I mean, I don't want details, but if my daughter was struggling with her marriage and sex in her marriage, I would hope she could come to me and I could give her some kind of mom advice. And my mom advice would be, it's not about the sex.
Yep.
And now if you're in menopause, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Your hormones are like, fuck you and your dick. And I don't want to actually fuck you or your dick. I mean, go get fucked by yourself. Fuck yourself with your hand. I don't know. But
do something.
I'm in menopause. It has not hit me yet, and I dread that because I've always had a good sex drive. Well, not always. Let me rephrase that. Since I've been divorced, and but I will say, and I've discussed it on here before, that when I was married, I just wasn't attracted to him anymore. It had nothing to do with his looks. I wasn't attracted to him as a person. Like, he just wasn't my person. And I mean, I'm not trying to talk negative about him. He may have felt exactly the same about me, rightfully so. We weren't each other's people. And so I wasn't attracted to him that way anymore. And therefore, I thought I didn't like sex. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I had a chemical imbalance. I thought there was something wrong with me. Why do I not? I mean, my wedding night, I didn't want to have sex. I mean, like, I was, it just wasn't it. And then I got divorced and I realized, turns out I do enjoy sex. And just not with someone I don't love.
Yeah. That can make a big difference.
It can make a big difference. I mean, I might even not be able to love you, but it's okay because I don't have to go home to you.
Right.
And you haven't disappointed me or whatever the case is. And so I think with sex drive, I think that there is a lot more to the mental aspects. I'm not discounting the physical aspects because it definitely exists. But I do think that until you hit menopause, the majority of the time, unless you got a thyroid disorder, there are things that can mess it up.
Yeah.
But I think 9 times out of 10, it's mental. And I think that you have to invest in fixing your sex life. It is not going to fix itself.
Yeah.
And so you have to go to therapy and figure out what's going on, or you just have to have some really honest conversations with your significant other where you might have to be uncomfortable.
Yep, that's true.
And it's hard.
Yeah, because the talking about it is literally the hardest part.
Yeah.
And if you yourself don't feel comfortable talking about it, you've already ran into a brick wall. And then if you don't have somebody you can talk to about it and feel comfortable, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
So you can not want to talk about it, and then you can finally get to the point, okay, I'll talk about it, but who are you going to talk to?
Right.
If it's not your significant other, then it's got to be a trusted friend or a counselor or somebody that you can open up to start realizing what you can do about it, what the problem is, and how do we fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't blame yourself.
Yeah, do not.
Honestly, because even if it's mental, it might not be your fault.
Yeah.
And I think that we get ourselves in a situation where it's harder and harder to dig out that hole.
Yeah. So I try now that, because I was very much in that mentality because I grew up in a religious household.
Yeah, it's repressed.
You have it's very much you're repressed. The whole first half of your life, it's you don't
have sex.
You don't have sex. You don't really even talk about sex other than to know what to not to do.
Exactly.
And what not to think about.
Yeah.
And then it's, stay away from boys. You're not trusted alone with boys. You can't do any of the
And don't trust boys.
It was not the best thing.
And now you're married to him and trust him with every part of your body now. And give it to him every time he wants it. Like you're supposed to flip a switch.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't make any sense. And I can understand. I totally understand because I looking back and looking from a mother's point of view, you want to protect your child. You want to make sure that they're not being sexualized by the world because the world is crazy and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So you want your child to dress appropriately because you don't want them looked at. You don't want them gawked at. You don't want them being sexualized too early. But
you don't want to repress them either.
It's a tug of war.
Yep.
And that's honestly one of the reasons I'd never have kids because I was like, I do not even want to have to deal with this because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I can understand not wanting to shame somebody or a girl for their body, not wanting them to feel like there's anything wrong with them, but at the same time wanting them to respect their body and want to protect it and want to protect their innocence. And it's almost an impossible thing to do because I had amazing parents and they weren't like overly strict, but they were still very strict. And it was this thing that you weren't allowed to do. So of course, what did you want to do?
Right.
You wanted to do that thing.
Right.
I did that thing as soon as I could.
Right.
As soon as I locked down somebody who was ready to do it with me and we had the opportunity, I did it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want this to I don't want it to be this big thing. I don't want to not have control over it. I want to be able to do what I want to do with my own body. I don't want virginity having this big, it is everything. I didn't want, I was like, it's not a prize.
Right.
So why am I is my worth based upon it?
Right.
And
I agree with you completely, and I feel like it's made a prize is the perfect word for it, and I feel like it becomes an albatross, And I honestly lost my virginity to get rid of it.
Yep. I did too.
I was the same way. And I dated the boy for a while, and I broke up with him the day after we had sex. Because I was like, well, did that.
Done and done.
Yeah. And I didn't. And I just think that it becomes an albatross. Mm-hmm. And so when I was raising my kids, I was kind of like, okay, how do you approach this? Yeah. And I approached it in the respect of mental and physical health. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about it being a prize, and it wasn't about God, and it wasn't about any of that. It wasn't about marriage. It wasn't saving yourself, because I don't care if my kids ever get married.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they give me grandkids. I mean, yeah, great if I have grandkids, but that's their life. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is if when you make it a prize, then you make it a goal for people to take it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want that. Yeah. I didn't want that. I didn't want my kid to feel like someone had that power over her or him or any of the above. Yeah. And my mom was adamant that I remain a virgin. And she was so wild, it was weird to me. Yeah. She was married twice before she finished high school, okay? And so I thought it was really funny. But when I can remember in high school her telling me over and over again how just don't have sex, but she's giving my brother and his friends condoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of my brother's friends taught me to put on a condom on a banana because they were worried, because my mom was giving me no sex education. It was just don't have it.
That's crazy.
And they weren't hitting on me or anything inappropriate. It was kind of like, hey, this is what your mom showed me. Let me show you. Like, seriously.
Just going to pass on some information here.
Thanks, Jason Goodrum. Haven't talked to him in years, but anyone from Red Oak hears this, tell him thanks. And but I sincerely believe that is how it's embedded in our brain as women, as children, affects us the rest of our lives.
It really does.
So in my 20s, I was scared of my sexuality. I was scared of sex. I didn't want to admit to anyone I had sex. I didn't want to talk about sex. I didn't want to talk about my sex life. I didn't want to talk about any of it. Mm-hmm. I didn't care if you were my best friend.
Yep, I was the same way.
And I just think that's very unhealthy.
That's why one of the reasons I really try so hard now to make sure that my friends know that they can talk to me about anything. Right. Like, you just let me know, hey, can we talk about this? I want to talk about this. And I will talk about it with you. Or I'll even just listen if you just need somebody to listen. I don't always have the best advice, but sometimes you just need to be able to run through something with someone. And
sometimes you hear yourself talk about it out loud and you're like,
Yeah. So
like you get your own, you solve your own problem.
I try to just ease into things, and I try to open up and say things that, even if I'm not necessarily struggling with something, I try to make sure I put things on the table. That way they can see what we're eating. And they're like, all right. So,
you and Zoel not even getting off his horse.
Yeah. So she's talked about sex, or she's hinted at sexual things. So she feels comfortable sharing that with me. So I'll open up and say something to her too. So, because sometimes you just have to put those things out there so people know it's okay. And I've had some of my friends that have, opened up to me about their sex lives, or struggling with sex life and having a partner that it just doesn't seem interested in. What do I do? How do I get them interested? What am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to,
Or we have a friend that only is attracted to the one person and doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
Like, they want to be done with this person, and they're only attracted to that person, and you can marry and divorce that same person so many times, but that's your person, and they can't be turned on by anyone else. It can come in all forms.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, this is unhealthy. I am tired of being only attracted to this person. I want to find someone else. So it comes in other aspects, but I do think 9 times out of 10, it is mental. And that's where we need to talk about, how do you deal with the mental, how do you get past it? And I think you sometimes have to seek therapy and not look at medication and hormones as the problem, but look at therapy, or look at conversations with your friends, or having honest conversations with your spouse. And I think oftentimes when you're in your 20s and 30s and you have children, your children exhaust you, especially as a mother. They exhaust you. They're physically attached to you,
all
and
your
draining
energy.
you all the time, overstimulating you all the time. Yeah. And then at the night, after being touched all day, you might be breastfeeding. You might just be fixing them a sandwich and they can't keep their hands off you. And then at the end of the night, you're finally free of these little creatures. And then your husband wants to touch you.
Yeah.
And it's not even about sex.
And
it's about being touched.
In your head, you can have this idea and this fantasy of and want it. You can be like, oh, I want to have sex.
But your
Tonight
body's
I'm having
like,
sex.
I am so sick of being touched.
And then you get put in this situation and you're just like, you feel so heavy and drained. And you're like, how am I going to work up the energy to even do this?
Yeah.
Even though I want to. How am I going to make my body do what my brain wants to actually go through with it?
Right.
Because it can be in your brain and it can be a want that you, but if your body's not have the energy and be in the right, time, it cannot.
But why is your body not in the energy? Is your partner pulling their weight?
That's true.
Are you overwhelmed by work and your children, and somebody can help you in some way? There are changes that can be made, but there are also conversations that probably need to be had.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can be honest with the person, but if your partner makes you feel judged, you're not going to be able to have those conversations.
That's true.
So you have to first deal with that.
Yeah,
you have to deal with that conversation.
Yeah. What do you do if your partner is non-receptive of trying to fix a situation or trying to better your sex life or trying to, like, you're trying to talk to them about the problems that you're having or that you feel you're having, and they're just like, whatever, don't care.
I think that what you have to do is you have to recognize the fact of, are you putting out as much? Are you working on it as hard as they want you to work on it? Before you get defensive that they're upset they're not getting laid. Because it is a need.
Yes.
If you're in a relationship, it's a need. Physical touch is a need.
It is.
And just because it's overwhelming for you doesn't mean it's not for them, and that they might have it. They have a need. So doesn't mean you owe it to them. It means, but you do owe to them to try to figure out why you're not interested.
Yeah.
And at that point, you need to have an honest conversation with them about what's going on. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I'm being touched too much. I'm not getting enough breaks. I'm stressed about money. Whatever the case is, you have that honest conversation, and you give them a chance to come to bat. And then at that point, they either come to bat or they don't. If they don't come to bat, it's now on them. You have served the ball.
Yeah.
It is now on them. And then they're going to decide what they're going to do or not. And if they don't reciprocate, then you have a new problem.
Yeah.
And the new problem is this worth fixing? Is this not worth fixing? I don't think sex is a good reason to end a marriage.
No.
But I do think oftentimes it's the number one, money and sex. And I think that that's why so many people get married, divorced in their 30s, is because money is now coming in, but the sex dries up, and the husband doesn't understand why. Because 9 times out of 10, it's the woman, and it's the woman because she's pulling all the weight at home.
Yes.
And so she's tired.
Yeah.
And she's physically overtouched. And I mean, I've talked about on the podcast once before. I will never forget the day. I remember exactly where I was sitting, what couch I'm sitting on, what I'm looking at. I can remember what I was wearing, what nightgown I was wearing. And I was breastfeeding my now 24-year-old. And Zoe was 2, and she was attached to my hip. So she was like leaning on me watching TV. So she was touching me, but not even grasping me, but leaning on me on the couch. I'm breastfeeding her brother. And the dog comes over and starts trying to lick my leg. And that was it. I fucking lost it. I was overstimulated. I was overwhelmed. I was exhausted. My husband hadn't gotten laid in a long time, and it didn't look like it was happening anytime soon. And I gave him the baby, and I moved Zoe over, and I kind of pushed the dog away, and I said, I'm leaving. I can take no more. I got to go outside. And I did.
Nobody touch me.
I got in the car. I drove to the grocery store, and I cried in the parking lot for 2 hours. I was overstimulated. And I came home, and he acted like nothing happened. And that was the wrong answer.
Right.
The right answer was, what can I do to help you?
Tell me what I can do.
And instead it was like, nah, she just had a bad night.
I'm glad you had your little cry out.
Yeah. No, I was
absolutely not.
That's a lot. I was also working full time. I wasn't a stay-at-home mom. So there was always something going on. And so I hate for women. If you're a woman listening right now and you're dealing with this, and especially if you're in the throes of motherhood, give yourself some grace and expect your husband to as well.
Yep.
And if he can't, that's okay. There's always another husband. No. I mean, that's what worked for me.
I mean, we're not going to take that off the table. No. We're just saying that's not the only thing.
I'm saying there is more to it, and he has to address it, but he can't address it if you don't address it first.
Yes.
And we're so afraid of being honest about our sexuality. It is 100% okay to not want sex. It is 100% okay to want sex and admit it. I spent 25, 30 years afraid to admit I liked sex.
Yeah.
It was beat into me. It was bad and it was embarrassing and it was a sin and all these other kind of things. Mm-hmm. And I had to get divorced and like free myself from those shackles. And when I freed myself from all of them, that was the first fucking one I let go.
Yeah.
Because it was not bad.
No, it's not.
And I mean, it could be if you do it wrong.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it can be bad.
But I'm saying with your husband or with your significant other or just in general, like you're a grown up.
Yeah,
you can
when
make
you
good choices.
want it and when you choose it, it should be good.
Yeah.
It should be fulfilling.
And if it's not and you love the person, address the problem. I'm tired, honey.
Yeah.
I come home and I have to do this, this, and this, and you're not doing this. And what can we do to find a happy median? And if he's going to fix it or he's not.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, it's still not your fault. You gave him the fucking ball.
Right. Exactly. So that can be a hard point to get to, but try to at least get to that. Figure out with yourself. What do I need? What's the problem? How can I start to figure this out? And once you got it with yourself, whether it's you got to journal to yourself or meditate with yourself or whatever you have to do to get some time to center yourself and figure out how to start.
Right.
And then it's what's the next step? Who can you talk to? Can you go to your spouse? Can you not go to your spouse? Do you need to go to a friend? Do you need to go to, a counselor? Do you need to go to somebody else that can help you out? That's the next step. If you can go to your spouse, okay, go to your spouse. Have that conversation.
I'm going to just put this out there, and some of you will not agree. Do not go to a religious leader. They have ulterior motives.
I would say go to a counselor first. Okay.
Not a religious counselor.
Go to a counselor.
Well, people do that. And the first thing the woman's told is you give your husband what he wants.
I know. I'm not saying that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason that we're iffy about that, because you really don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
You might get a great person who's going to help you out.
Absolutely might. Yeah.
But you might not.
Yeah.
So, that would, to each his own. But,
there was, a local church here, a really big local church here about 5-6 years ago did a whole, they do a teaching. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is if it's a Baptist church, the Southern Baptist, whatever Baptist they are, they come up with these lesson plans and then all the churches kind of preach the same idea for that month. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true, but that's my understanding. The big churches, they have a curriculum almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the right word. And one of them they did like a 6-week thing, and they had married classes for if you're in a married class, Sunday school thing, whatever. And it was about sex within your marriage. The church addressed sex and intimacy within your marriage and how it was a good thing.
Yeah, that's good.
And I thought, that is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is.
Because it is a good thing.
It is.
But women are told it's bad and men are told get it.
Yeah.
And we're given two different messages and we don't understand. We have two different physical reactions to it.
Well, I really like to see the small changes that are being made, because that's big.
Yeah.
That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, it was a big deal. And it was a big church here in town. And I was like, hell yeah, you might have just saved a marriage or two.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were talking to the men about having conversations with your wives. And they were talking to the women about being more open with your husbands and not being. And another thing that women run into is that we are being expected to look a certain way. And as you get older, you don't look that way, or you get birth and you don't look the same way afterwards. And, there's just so much writing on our looks that it's really hard to get naked and feel comfortable, even with your husband.
Yep.
And so that's a whole nother ball game. That's a whole nother reason for therapy.
Yep.
It's also a whole nother teaching for your husband, because he might be putting shit in your head he doesn't even know he's putting.
Yeah.
And so when I was married, my ex-husband would talk shit about everybody around us. This person's fat, this person's this person's that, whatever. And he didn't think that about me, but you don't think it made me worry? Mm-hmm. You don't think that was in my head?
Yeah.
And it totally was in my head. And I had to remove myself from that. And I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to free ourselves and love our body. And if you're giving your body to a man and giving children to a man, you should be able to be naked in front of the man and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And if you're not, he's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Or you're doing something wrong by not communicating, giving him a chance to have that conversation with you. Sometimes that's all it needs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just in our head. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's something they gave you to think.
Yeah.
And you need to slap them into next year. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Don't slap them.
No, physical violence is not the first thing you should
A
do.
slight nudge.
Not the first thing.
Yeah, no.
Maybe the second, but not the first.
But mental violence, no. I'm just kidding. But y'all get the point. Like, there's just a lot more to it. And
Yeah.
I think for women, it's more mental than physical
Yes.
until you hit menopause. And then you might want to consult your doctor. And, there's hormones for that. And there are ways around that. Things happen.
Yeah.
The good news is your husband usually can't get hard as much. So, no, I'm kidding. I mean, it's true, but,
It happens.
that's why I keep a younger man.
Yeah.
It's not been a problem.
I have an older man, but...
No, I'm sorry. No kidding.
No problem so far. I mean,
I'm just teasing.
He's African American. So.
This is where the new microphone will be a problem when I start laughing. It's like that lady last week. That's funny. Anyways, is there anything else on that we need to address? Have we beat that dead horse?
I'm just saying, we're here for you. We might not have all the answers. I don't even know if any of that helped, but it's definitely, if you're having sex problems, you're not alone.
I think everybody has them.
Everybody has. I mean, it's something you have to continue to develop. Just like anything else with yourself, your sexuality develops.
Yeah.
You can't stifle it. You have to. It's a flowing river that you have to just go along with. You have to learn. You have to.
River.
You have to continue along the journey and building your self-esteem and building your self-love.
Just kayak yourself through that river.
And the journeys especially if you're with a significant other, they have to be kayaking along with you.
It's a dual kayak.
Right? Because you got to go on this journey together and you got to the communication has to be there. If it's not, you got to work on that. I've had to do it myself. I'm young. I still have an amazing sex drive. I want sex all the time. So you can even have the sex drive and still have the problem with the communication.
Yep.
So the sex drive is not a problem at all for me. Mine is the communicating what I want and getting what I want. And I'm so happy that I'm with a man right now who is very patient. I'm very kind and loving, and he's going to give me anything I want. I just have to ask for it. But if I can't ask for it, that's a big problem. So
it is.
And
trust me, I've never known a man that you tell them what you want and they're like, I can't believe you asked me. I don't like you anymore.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm totally judging you right now.
We're not going to get lube. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No
Okay,
sex talk now.
But it's true. Like it can be very difficult to talk to somebody about that. Literally, I've been with my boyfriend for going on 6 years now. And there are conversations that I have not had with him because I simply haven't been able to do it. Right. And it's funny that you bring up sex toys because that's one of them. Yeah. I've never had that conversation with him because I think in my head, what's he going to think? What's he going to say? How's he going to feel? Like, I've never even done that. So I don't know how he's going to feel about that. So I don't even know.
I mean, if you're giving your body to someone, you should be, especially regularly the same person, whatever, then you should be comfortable to be like, hey, I want to do this.
You should be able to bring up your wants and your desires and your feelings, and they should respect that. And they should
both ways.
Yeah, yes,
both ways.
And so, it can be hard and on a lot of different levels.
Right.
But you just have to continue putting in the work. You have to put in the work with yourself first, and then you have to put in the work with your partner, your significant other.
Yep.
And then they have to put in the work too. Lots of work involved.
and it can be something simple. Like, I have a friend that's, significant other would jokingly ask for it in kind of a crude way. Mm-hmm. And it was truly joking, whatever. And they knew they were joking, but it's a turnoff.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, as soon as you say it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to do it.
And then now you just
you sound like the guy at the bar. And I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, you're the man I love. Mm-hmm. You're not a fuck. Like, you're the fuck. Like, I want to be treated like,
fuck.
I want to be treated special, whatever
Yeah.
the case is. And that went round and round and round. And she just wasn't fucking giving it up and said, until you ask nice, I'm not interested. I'm not turned on by that. I get that it turns you on. It'd be one thing if it was once in a blue moon, but it's become your go-to.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested. And it created some problems, and it didn't. And then finally, he was no longer dumb and realized he was not getting laid as long as he played that game. And she was like, it was all fixed. And she goes, and now when he does it every once in a blue moon, I'm like, cool.
Well, that's good that she stuck to her guns.
Yeah, and so I always laugh because he says, God, I wish I could remember what she said he said. There's something that, there was something that he would say. I wish I could say what he would say. And it was kind of funny. So I would laugh and I'd be like, whatever. But then I got where she's coming from because I get it. Because every once in a while Rick will say something. I'm like, dude, I'm not some bitch at the bar. Granted, you did meet me at the bar.
We ain't there no more.
But we at the bar now. So now we get dinner too. No, you pay the rent. Anyway, y'all, the moral is everybody goes through it.
Yes.
And you might go through it, fix it, and go through it again. Yep. And it really is about communication with yourself and others. You should not be afraid to have that conversation. If you're afraid of that conversation, your relationship is not as strong as it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. If your friend won't help you out, find better friends. Yeah. If your partner won't help you out, find a better partner.
Yeah. And if you're in menopause, get a good doctor.
Amen.
I haven't run into that, but I do have a lot of friends in that, and I'm dreading it. I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a younger boyfriend. I got to still keep up with him, and I worry about it. So far, we're good, but I do realize that is, and I've had every other fucking side effect of menopause. Why is this one not hit? Thank God.
Well, I think it's a good thing that you're not that you're looking forward to it, but you're looking forward into the future and realizing the problems that could come, and you are ready to tackle them.
Oh yeah, man.
And that's a whole mindset. That's a good mindset.
Because he has needs too.
Yeah.
It's not about one person.
Nope.
And so you have to, keep yourself in the physical aspect where you can do the things you want to do, not just sex-wise, but, in life. But that mentally that you can take care of your significant other. And I mean, it makes sure, if you have a husband and you don't have sex with them for 3 months, what do you think you've done to his mental health?
Right.
It goes both ways.
It really does. You can't just think about you.
Because that's that's a lot of rejection.
It is.
And so that's hard.
I feel bad when it's more than like a couple of days.
Rick had a headache one night, and I about cried myself to sleep. I didn't know what happened. I thought he fell out of love.
You have a headache?
It's never happened before.
I'm about to give you a headache.
And the next day I was like, you good now, dude? He was like, I had a migraine. I am sorry.
Right.
I was like, I thought we were going to break up. Shit. I thought you lost interest. He was like, come here, bitch.
I thought we were done.
Yeah.
Woe is me.
He's like, please stop talking about me on your show all the time.
Sorry, we can't do that.
Now that the studio's in the house, I'm getting him on here. I might have to give him a beer or two.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to probably edit
a lot.
But it'll be great.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. So y'all wait.
You're in for a real treat.
All right, have we beat the horse now?
I think the horse.
All right, well, great topic, and thank you, person that suggested it. And I am going to post it on that page, and I'm going to post it on that comment so she can know that we addressed it.
That's good. I hope that we did something.
Yeah, I hope so. Leave a review, like all that stuff. If you don't already follow us on social media, we do have multiple social media accounts. So on Facebook, we are Two Sides in the Truth, or I am Zeta, Z-A-D-A Owens, and Kelly is anti-Facebook, so she runs the Instagram page, and she is on Instagram, which I'm Z Mamacita on Instagram, and you are?
Kelly Lady Pearl on Instagram, and our Instagram is Two Sides of the Truth as well. We also have an email that sometimes I check, so
I never check.
You want to leave me a little Easter egg on there. Our email is twosidesinthetruthpodcast@outlook.com.
Or feel free to message us on any of those, and we will check them. Understand, either one of us could be checking. I did have a guy one time, I told you this, message us on the Facebook thinking it was Kelly checking it, and it was...
No, Zeta's in charge of the Facebook.
Please don't hit on Kelly via me.
Sorry. I'm in charge of the Instagram. Don't hit on me via Instagram either, but, whatever. And then I also check the email. So if you email me, that's usually me. So
it's always her. I don't do it. I can't even remember the name of it.
I will send it to Zeta, to her email, but
so I can read it. I do check my email. So Awesome.
Yeah.
We rock. No, I'm kidding. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
2 sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.